Well, g'day, fans, and this is your Sensei Al Bob, and welcome aboard to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. That's our channel on YouTube, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. And, oops. Again, it's the navigation through life that's fun. Hey, Twitch, how's life treating you, buddy? Oh. So today has been first amazingly beautiful out there, and I'm in my palace of a library. I got more food from the dumpster, even though I went shopping for JB. He gave me a chunk of change and I bought him a ton of fruit. But I wanted to eat a little something other than that, so I went to my favorite dumpster and got a nice little somebody else's omelet that they didn't finish. Anyway. But I was trying to, hear me, talk about life, and that it's Shakespeare's masks of comic and tragedy, right? Came from the Greek mass of comic and tragedy, but Shakespeare has two separate ones, saying that, it's two different things. Greeks have one. That little picture on my business card that I kind of snapped on one of the stories a few days ago. It's basic. In my little drawing, I did that on a legal pad one day when I was negotiating a corporate deal. And these, three people were, screaming at each other, And it was because it was a family business. Woo! And they were going on about mommy loving somebody more than the other. And it was daddy's fault and blah, blah, blah. And they were accusing people who were dead, And I can't get any more bizarre than that. And so all I'm seeing is the absurdity of life, because right now, the world is in probably one of its better states than ever. And all of the conflict, the Cold War ended in the 90s, end of the 80s. And, good old George H. did everything he could to represent the hidden hand. So the New World Order, 1,000 points of light. We have a great opportunity, And he navigated us off the cliff. And then Bill Clinton, who was definitely, a socio something, starts with path and represented the hidden hand. He was. You remember that second Captain American movie, and that comedian played a senator? That was Bill Clinton. And pick any villain from any 007 movie. That's the Russian lady with the poison blade on her shoe, or she was from a Smersh. That was Hillary. And it's you can't make this stuff up. And around 2 p.m., somewhere between 2 and 3. John's been wanting me to do a video, right, of another story video, because my story videos seem to get more popularity than his, right? And I just wanted him to put the camera on a tripod and I could tell you a story, but no, he wants to be, you know, him. Anyway, so good. It's his channel. Let him be him. But I'm going to tell a story of the absurdity of all this, right? So anyway, I tried to start out in the morning, and then my phone died, and then I charged it up, and I left to go buy John some fruit because he really has, God knows what he's eating up there because he thinks the food I make is poison, really. I mean, that's what I mean, absurd, right? I'm eating out of a dumpster while he's got tons of money, and I had to just spend it mostly on his fruit, right? And he'll probably castigate me for buying it at Kroger's, even though I told him I was going to. And he wanted to know, it's organic. So, I said to the guy who runs the fruit, the whole vegetable thing, I said, so I need to buy organic food. And he goes, well, it's all organic. I said, but there's this like one little freezer of organic things, and it's like 40% more expensive than the other stuff that's in all the other refrigerators and bins. He goes, well, there's nothing different. It's the same stuff. We just have this because there are morons who will pay extra 40% for the same stuff. We just put it in a different place and call it organic. But the Supreme Court has said that anything grown in the earth is organic. Even GMO foods can be sold as organic. And that's what it's just nuts, right? So, I left John in a quandary, which every day he's in a quandary. Like every day, I don't know whether I'm going to be sleeping in my car or in my rack. And, I do. John's a good guy. He's my friend, unless he pushes himself to some point of who knows, I'll be okay. Yep. From that fancy food sort of this definition. And what's even more absurd is if you go to the co-op, I did this as a little experiment. I, bought last time $80 worth of fruit for John, right? And I mean, he showed it on, that video he made. I've got the secret to lose weight. Yeah, don't eat carbs and work out, and eat protein. Anyway, so, but he was trying to I discovered it. I went to Egypt and went through pyramids and found this. Really? Okay, it's like, 8,000 YouTubes and blogs about this. It's got all kinds of names. Anyway, so if you go to the co-op, it's actually the same wholesaler that brings the food, the vegetables to Kroger's, brings them to the co-op. It's not like, Mr. Jones' farm outside of town. It's like coming from California and Florida, and the same chemicals get sprayed on them, and the same transportation, and the same exposure to everything, pretty much. I mean, if you want really good vegetables, you're going to have to grow them yourself in a glassed-in hothouse, period. You have to control every bit of the environment. Because, so it was a beautiful day. When I was rolling up the hill, it was, and so I clicked on, there was no Wi-Fi, so I clicked on to record it. And then the phone wouldn't, it started to record, but it did what it wanted to. And then it started clicking photographs instead of doing the video. And because the ride down my driveway is got to be one of the prettiest drives. And there are certain things about, the forest that you can see just driving down my driveway. If you go like 4 or 5 miles an hour instead of 10 or 20 miles an hour. Yep. So, and in the co-op, so I bought $80 worth of fruit for John. And that was about 60 bananas, about 80 oranges, and then a whole bunch of strawberries and grapes and all kinds of stuff, pineapples and all the rest, right? 80 bucks. I went to the co-op and I bought 4 bananas and 6 apples, and it cost $15, right? And I showed them, and it had the same little stickers on it, and I showed them the two different, receipts. Anyway, there is no changing John's mind, and I could show you the tirades of messaging, because I keep all of John's messaging because it goes up in the cloud. And it's just, and I got messages that go all the way back for almost 2 years. And it's like, and it's going to be a libretto for an opera one day, that's why I kept it. Anyway, so I tried to really make a nice little video coming down my driveway to say, hey, life is what we make it. You can either get all bent out of shape about this, that, or the other thing, or you can just see what's beautiful around you and be in connection with love's co-creation. And you can, in every day and every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger by being nice to everyone. That's why I'm nice to everyone, And John's not the only one who gives me a hard time. There are liberal people who, have known me, seen me do stuff. And when they see me someplace like in the library, they'll actually go out of the way, come over, why aren't you at work? And I go, excuse me? You should be at work. I know you. You got all those degrees. You should be teaching or doing something or working at I said, really? I said, why aren't you at work? Why are you here talking to me like you're talking? Well, my husband makes $300,000. I don't have to work. So, okay, isn't that nice? How about you give me about 20 of it? You got a checkbook there. And this woman got so flustered, so upset, so bent out of shape. She tried to get me thrown out of the library. I mean, she walked across the library, and the librarian, her office is, I sit it's like right behind those things, right? And she's always up and down this corridor, right? So that lady went and got the librarian and tried to say, you know what he said to me? And she goes through the whole story. And the librarian says, yeah, so why don't you cut him a check? And that's what blows, So there's some people who are like, yeah, Al's cool. And Al's actually saying the things I wish I could say to you, dipwit. But I can't. I'd lose my job. But he can. So that's why he's sitting there and you get lost, right? And they now have policemen in this library with guns and tasers and pepper spray. And so this one cop came over to me, and he's a cop I don't know. And he's the canary in the coal mine of a police officer. He probably weighed 300 pounds. He couldn't go up and down the steps. I mean, I can't, but I have no legs, so I have an excuse. Anyway, he came down and said next to me, he goes, I've been watching you. And then I went and asked the librarian, and she goes, oh, no, he's our house philosopher. No, let him do whatever he wants to do. Don't get upset. He's smarter than everyone in this library put together. Now, I don't claim to be that. But people come to me, go, you're a smart guy. I got some questions to ask you, Anyway, so we sat down. And so we had a nice little talk. And he goes, and after the talk, he says, you've done something to my brain. I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, I always kind of categorize people into the ones that I should be mean to and the ones I shouldn't be mean to. And I said, because you were measuring yourself on, stereotypical class level. And, you feel bad about where you reside and that status, and carrying a gun. He's been carrying a gun for 20 years, and he's kind of retired. He used to be in Baltimore, so he'd been, a white, bigoted, nasty guy with a uniform and a gun and a taser. I said, "You ever shoot anybody?" And he goes, "Well, I don't want to say." He said, "Really? You don't want to say?" Okay. Anyway, I said, "After our conversation, you going to shoot anybody now?" He goes, "I don't think so." So, I spent a good hour and a half with this guy, and now, he doesn't think he's going to shoot anyone. And he's going to try and not look at people as the other. Well, that was hour and a half well spent. I didn't get mad at him, didn't try to prove anything, didn't try to, sway his anything. I just talked to him about everything about his life. I mostly asked him about him and not told him about me until he asked me. Petulant child. Is that the correct? I would go along with the child part. Petulant. I'm gonna have to look that word up. I don't know its etymology, but yeah, Child Bob. I like that. Sensei Winnie Child Bob. How about Winnie the Pooh Child Bob? I've always had a strong petulant child. Oh, well, like I said, if I'm going to go track down the etymology of petulant, and it might fit. I'm not saying it doesn't. Well, I always thought sensei just meant teacher, you know. But maybe there's actually a Japanese term for definition of what sensei actually is. Okay, I'll take it. But I always thought it meant teacher. Anyway, let's see. What time is it? Hey, Bob. How you doing? BB. So, I kind of want to talk about. Have any of you guys watched the TV show Newsroom? It was HBO show. It was on around the 2016, probably no before that, probably 14, 15. And anyway, it's interesting because it's a real metaphor. The guy who did, the HBO or the TV show about the West Wing, he did that one. He's a good writer. He really can turn a phrase. He's a poet, a bard, a TV bard. How about that? Let's see. Anyway, I'm kind of want to go check out what sensei actually means. I might bob off here just to check that out. But anyway, somewhere between 2 and 3, if John wants to do it, I'm going to do a thing, and I'm going to kind of tell a bunch of stories about things that people know. Things that people know, but they're not sure about. Right? Or things they think they know, but weren't around when it happened. Right? Kind of like, here it is, 18 years, give or take, from September 11th. So everybody who's younger than 17, 18, 19, let's say even 20, they don't remember what the world was like before 9/11. They don't know what the world was like before, they had their iPhone grafted to their cerebral cortex. They don't know what it was like, before Netflix. You know, and if I don't do it with John Boy, I will try and do it at 7 p.m. and or continue it, meaning I'll start a thing. And John likes the fact of he never did live chats like I. That's all I do because that's all I know how to do. All I can do is hit the button, chat, put a title, and so since I've been doing chats, he's started doing them too. But what he mostly wants to do, because he's a filmmaker, is videotape it and then edit it, because he's scared of whatever he's going to say. So if we do a thing at 2 p.m., I'm going to do a live chat there myself. So come to my channel, right? Hey, how about a couple of thumbs up? And anyway, so it's been cold the last few days, and if it's a sunny day again tomorrow, I'm going to drive down and make the video I tried to do this morning, right? And because there were a lot of metaphors on my driveway that I wanted to talk about. And it's always good to have a visual aid, Our driveway's cut into the woods, and at some points it's quite deep. It's cut in, 5 to 10 foot. So, there was this hill here, and then they cut in the side of the hill. And so you can see all of the big trees and all of the roots and all of the fungi and all of the interactiveness of and so it's so I'm going to try and do that again because it was really beautiful. And then when I came around the corner, up behind my shoulder, the sky, when I started driving down the hill, there wasn't a chemtrail in the sky. In the 4 minutes it took me to come down halfway and come around this corner where, that corner, it's like a stream comes down, and so there's a little holler, and so you could see, and they were like chemtrailing the crap. And now, this morning when the sky was a nice azure blue, almost like this coat here, it's now a silver, right? And it's called a reflective aerosol. And that's one of the things when they shoot the chemtrails above 30,000 feet, when they're up above 35 to 60,000 feet, preferably above 50,000 feet, they spray it up there and it stays, right? And it gets energized from the sun, right? And it becomes an artificial Van Allen belt. And instead of like being 1,000 miles out there in space, it's like, 60 miles over our heads. So we're kind of getting microwaved. And it works as a pitch, like a tuning fork, bing, so they can bounce scalar waves off it and do a ton of different things, keep an eye on everyone. That's one thing it can do. It can, people are like all bent out of shape about 5G. Well, man, if you have a router in your house, you got 5G in your house. If you have a smart meter and smart appliances, you got 5G in your house, and that you've got a smart refrigerator. That smart refrigerator is like X-raying all your food. It's like changing. Already the food is crap. It's GMO, it's processed, it's everything. But in that GMO processing, they are throwing a few little molecules in there. So when that smart refrigerator kind of wangs the food in the refrigerator with, the scalar energy, it's kind of turning people into, what's the term? Not transhuman. That's a whole different thing. And you got to have, high on the food chain to be a transhuman. No, It's when you're half alien, half human being, you know, whatever that is. So, and all of this stuff has been going on forever, for 16,000 years since our recorded history, and, you know, a good billion years, which is when, you know, the fallen angels came, sheeple. Yep. But, you know, it's not their fault. They're like processed food. And the few of us who are awake some of the time, enough to use terms like sheeple, we should use it with compassion, right? Because, you know, those poor folks, you know, they don't understand. You know, there's a bunch of Christians that hang out, and they don't even know their Bible. You know, because I go by them and I give them, you know, the three-fingered salute, and say, "Hail, Hydra," and they kind of look at me and don't know what I'm, you know, and they kind of like, you know, in their mind, they think I'm saying praise Jesus, because they've got processed macaroni and cheese for brains, you know. And when I stop and talk to them, because, oh, let me see some of your propaganda, they show me their Bible and their this, and it's not even the case. Their Bible as their church has written, and it's a sacred book. Yep. And they got all these other little pamphlets about, you know, why Jesus hates other people. You know, we're the chosen ones. It's like, really? Okay. And I carry my own Bible with me. I said, okay, here's my Bible. It's King James. It's a piece of crap. So you tell me where what you're saying is in this book. And they don't even know which end of the book to hold up. So it's a questionable scenario. And oh, do 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 do. So Robert, you still with us? Robert, do you mind if I call you Bob? Did you ever see the TV show My Little Margie? Go on the YouTube and find My Little Margie. And no. What I'm really thinking about, there was the Robert Young show, right? And he was a photographer, and he was in Hollywood, and he basically took pictures of young starlets and cast a couch on them. And so, there was a whole, you know, sitcom about that, and that was totally misogynist, acceptable, you know. It was 1957. Hey, we can make fun of this as long as we got I Love Lucy to be the counterbalance. You know, that's fair and balanced, you know. And Lucy was a smart one. She you know, Desilu Productions, right? Desilu. Desi Arnaz, you know, her husband Desi, and Lucille Ball, right? They owned Paramount Movies. You know, Lucy was smart enough. She was a good bit. She could make the deal. She could schmooze. She could make the deal. So she went into CBS and said, okay, you know, you want me to do a TV show? Okay, this is how it's going to work. You're not going to produce it. I am. I will sell you each show at a tenth of the price that it's going to cost you to produce it. And you can sell all the advertisements you want, right? But I own it. Okay? And anything that comes after you sell the advertisements for that show, I get, right? And you don't have to pay us a nickel. And CBS says, wow. And then I said, and here's a contract that states that. And from this point on, for the rest of eternity in my relationship with CBS, this is how it's going to be. I own it. I control it. I manufacture it. You get it. You put it on your station. You get to sell the advertisement. You get all the money. And CBS said, great deal. Okay. So they did it. And so they shot it. They were the only, before then, well, there's one camera stuck straight at the person, right? And because CBS and the networks were so cheap, they used ancient equipment where they had to basically paint the people up like aliens to register on their cameras. They rented from Philips the state-of-the-art cameras and booms, and they put all three of their cameras on booms so they could fly, move it anywhere, right? They put 3 cameras on a stage, and they put an audience, right? And they performed. It was like doing vaudeville, but live on TV. And they cut it. They didn't do a live show. They had a script, they had a storyboard, but they did it in front of a live audience, right? And they had, a character, the announcer, who was a stand-up comedian, who warm up the audience, and then they would put the show on. And it was funny, and people would laugh, and they got it live, they got the energy, they got everything. The 3 camera shot, from 3 different directions. And they were all synced. And went back, they edited them, right? And, so they got the front, the side, the 2-shot, everything. Bing, 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 just like a movie. They shot it like a movie, but they did it live. So it was amazing. So they went straight to the top. CBS was amazed, right? So, but what they didn't realize was they were selling that show all over the planet. And it made, so CBS made, 300,000 a show. First run, Desi Lou was making $5 to $20 million a show. And that was in 1955, 56, 57, all the way up to 60, whatever. And that gave them enough money to buy, because the movies, TV was eating the movie, eating them alive. So Desi Lou bought Paramount Studios, right? And and what Paramount really had were theaters. AMC was Paramount. And they got it at bargain basement. They got it for what they made on one TV show. And Paramount, the bank that owned Paramount, just wanted to get out. And Paramount had a ton of technicians, sets, real estate, actors, writers, producers, directors, the whole Megillah. And so Desi Lou started producing movies that were never made, like Star Trek, like you name it, all of what would become indie, all of the cowboys that weren't John Wayne, that were more like, and then they banked independent houses, like the guys who did Clint Eastwood movies. They banked them and owned them. And that was Lucille Ball, right? Desi was the technical genius, and they made an amazing duo. And, both of them had a libido the size of Texas. And so after about 10 years of them, just not being able to not jump on each other, they split. But they were smart enough to not mess with their business dynamic, right? And so they kept making money. And so Lucille Ball, within like today's money, Desi Lou made more money than any other TV, more than Cosby, more than anybody, more than Friends. And they're still showing all of their shows somewhere on the planet. Desi's and Lucy's kids are billionaires off of that, right? Now that's what's great about America, because Desi came off the boat from Cuba. And Lucy, came from an alcoholic, really nasty family. She wasn't rich. No one makes it in Hollywood unless you're really rich and blah, blah, blah. No, you can walk in. Yes, it's a corporate world, yes. But if you're smart, if you're good, if you are doing something that no one else is doing, and you have a little luck and you don't give up, right? And you learn from your mistakes instead of doing the same thing over and over and over and over. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm going to do another video with John, because he actually, when, somewhere between 6 and 70 people watch my YouTube's first time out, John gets a few hundred, because, I have, a cadre of 260 something, and he has a cadre of, I don't know, 20,000, something like that. So just the sheer numbers of, the little bell ringing people kind of, let's see what that moron's doing, right? So that's why he gets at least, 100 or so. Now, if I had a few more of the cadre there, and, guys, the four of you, you must have at least 4 friends, right? Maybe even 10 friends, who knew? And if you guys would have whoever has the nicest internet with a big screen TV and had a coffee clutch, a Sensei Al Bob salon, and comes and checks it out. If you brought 10 friends and watched the show, and they use their phones to make comments, and put, still nobody's giving me a thumbs up. Yeah, gee, thanks. Now, I don't care, because I don't care about anything except love's co-creation. I only care about protecting the innocent. I only care about, saving all our relations. I only care to why I'm doing this at all is thanks. Thanks for one of those. The only reason I care is that there is this window of opportunity, next 18 months, give or take, where we're either going to, have the beginning of another 900 years of the Dark Ages, where we're going to slide way back to forget technology. We'll be sleeping with the pigs and rolling around in the dirt, and the average, half to 3/4 of the human race will after that window is shut, slammed closed. A thumb just for me, thanks Twitch. Basically, 3/4 of the human race will be dead within side of 3 months. Ooh, and the smell will. What's that smell? What's the band that? Ooh, what's that smell? Well, that's the smell they're talking about, right? Not perfume. And again, I'm an old guy. I've died 6 times. Bottom line, I was, posted here to do my best to bring love's co-creation to all our relations, right? And I don't have I'm actually very positive, because why did I in 2004 just say, okay, hey, look, I got this opportunity to work in the corporate world and make lots of money and not have to work at all, and live the most hedonist life imaginable. And I'll just, I went and rented The Meaning of Life by Monty Python, watched it a couple of times, and watched, Life of Brian a couple of times, and said, okay, always look on the bright side of life, and I'm going to eat myself to death, just like Mr. Creosote. And I really tried hard. I packed on 280 pounds. I was about, 240, 260, something in there. And I packed on another 280, right? So I was pushing almost 600, or I was, right? And I didn't blow up. What I did was died in a plate of spaghetti, and had, another one of my Did you have an insight? Did you have a vision? Yeah, I went, I died, went to the other side, saw my masters, and they said, hey, you're doing a great job, but you got to go back. And to lose the weight, I had to lose everything. That's why I'm a homeless guy. I have no money in the bank. That's it. That's why I eat out of a dumpster. Because the food in the dumpster actually is a little more healthier than the food. I got a bunch of canned food that I could just open up the can, and I do that. But, the food I found in the dumpster is actually better than the food in the can. And in a lot of ways, the food in the dumpster is somewhat better than the food that most people cook. Now, when I cook for John, when I cook downstairs in what John euphemistically calls the slop kitchen of the White House, all of those meals I cook with the energetics of shamanism, right? So I punch up the vibrance of every vegetable I use to its where the highest can go, and I kind of, when I am, skinning the food, taking the skin off the onions and the apples and the fruit and the this, and going for the meat of the matter, I'm energetically knocking out the negative energy of the GMO and the negative energy of the insecticide and the fertilizer and the acid rain and the chemtrails and all the above, right? So that food is actually pretty good. That's why it stays vibrant. And I can leave it on the top of a stove for 3 weeks, heat it up, and it's still good. Now, that's kind of where I've been for the last 2 weeks because, I haven't had any money. Now, John gave me some cash to buy, fruit and vegetables, which I did. So we'll now have, a good, meals for at least a week, at least. And, fruit is, you don't eat 20 bananas at once. No. Then it's not, then it's not good. 1 banana a day, yes. 2, maybe. 3, that's the magic number. But after that, no. And my life is an interesting metaphor for the rest of humanity, Okay. I'm not going to talk any longer than an hour, and we're now at 42 minutes and 57 seconds. So, let's see what grand intelligence. Twitchy is really the only guy talking here. Yep, Twitchy worked in a grocery. Yep. Yeah. The big stores, like the big supermarkets, they now have openings in the store and a chute into their dumpsters, and the rest of the dumpster is all welded up, so you can't get into that dumpster. But smaller restaurants, smaller supermarkets still open dumpsters, right? Now, a lot of them have locks on them, but there are a lot that don't, right? And there are a number of restaurants around that throw food and know that people eat out of their dumpsters. So they actually pack the food in there in a way that it doesn't ick out amongst everything else in the dumpster. And those are the dumpsters I know about because I brought other homeless people to them. And I've talked to the restaurants about it. I said, listen, you can do this on the down low and just have them put the food in there that way. I mean, it won't cost you any more money, and you won't be liable, and, it'll give hundreds of people a meal. And they do that, Now, I did that. I went around this town. There are close to 1,600 restaurants in this city valley. And I don't know if I went to every one, but I went to a lot of them. And, said, hey, you can do, I see how you deal with your waste and you can do this. And I would first say, what do you think about throwing all the food you throw away? And they said, "Oh, a lot of it that really bothers me. I wish I could do something about it." I said, "Well, you can. Just pack it this way." And I said, "All you got to do is you get, you know, you go to Kroger's, don't you? You go to Food Lion, you go to Walmart's, right? Well, when you go there, grab a bunch of those plastic bags, right? And the meals, each meal, you just kind of throw in the bag, tie it up, and then put another bag around it, and put it in a box. Right? You have tons of boxes here, and you take those boxes and you kind of put it in the box, and you put it on one side of the dumpster. One side of the dumpster is for the ick, the other are these boxes. And homeless people will take those boxes away and eat that food. So, there's probably, I don't know, like I said, there were 1,600 restaurants in this valley. And I don't think I hit every one, but I hit almost every one. At least I would say over 800, if not 1,000. And I would say out of that, maybe 150 do that every day. Right? And that's the kind of stuff you guys can do. Just think a little outside the box. And when I come into those restaurants, I get a free meal because the owners and managers and people who work there, they're all on the down low of what's going on, but they feel amazingly good about doing something. And that's what we need to do. Everyone needs to do a little something. And energetically, by everyone doing just a little something like that, like, me talking to the police. Now they have a policeman in the library, and I talk to the library. Why do we need that? He said, "Oh, the county, they're getting money to put more police in the schools, and our library is a lot of school kids go to it." And I said, "It's not going to turn out good." And she goes, "Well, that's why I told him not to bother you, and then I'd know that he would, and then you'd talk to him." And that's how this works. And everyone's on the down low. All the people who have responsible jobs, well, they're not going to say, "Oh yeah, Al does this." No. But if someone would say, "Well, what about this guy?" They'd say, "Well, he's one of our patrons. We know him well. He's a good citizen." That's about what they would say. They may say, "Oh, he's a little idiosyncratic." Or as Mr. Brown said, what was that? Sensei whiny. Oh, I thought that was Winnie. Whiny, petulant child Bob. I love it. I'm gonna again. If the etymology works out, I'm gonna start using that. Whiny. Do I really whine? I don't think I whine. Whiny is like this. I don't know. I don't do that, do I? No, I don't do that. I don't want. I don't want that. And petulant, isn't that like, "It's about me. It's all about me. Oh, everything's about me. Me. Isn't that petulant? Do I really do that, Mr. Brown? I was never a big fan of Webster. I'm going to go more to the Latin and Sumerian, but I'll check Mr. Webster first. I'll probably use your favorite source, Wikipedia. Okay, Mr. Brown? Bob. Bob Brown. BB. That's you. BB. Okay, BB? BB. 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 Oh, we're getting close. It's 49 minutes and 24 seconds. Hey, fish. Well, that's good. The more everyone does their little something, that's how the problem gets solved. Little by little. Intent is everything. Yeah. But BB, I love BB. BB, that's really good, BB. B, 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 B. Bob. Bob Broom? Brum? Sensei, whiny, petulant child Bob. Love it. I really do. You know, if, like I said, if the etymology fits, and that would be WSPCB. No, that would be SSS. That'd be SWPCB. Good day, this is SWPCB. S on the BB network. BB. BB. BB network. What does the dyslexic title read? Very good, Rab. You got it. I really don't know what it read. You know, I wasn't wearing my glasses. And you know, John, are we back? Rotate device. Oh, ringtone. I think I might just leave. So about 2 o'clock, between 2 and 3, if John and I can get it together, I'm going to give you an interesting. It's going to be called "The Thread You Pull," right? Okay. And John's all on about the algorithms. That I have to figure out titles like call everything the old crone. I tried that a way back and it didn't work too good. So I'm more creative. This is an art form for me, this is like painting or sculpting or writing a novel. And remember, go to my xratted.blogspot.com. BB, are you still there? BB, have you gone to my blogspot, my xratted.blogspot? And BB, remember to get a hold of me, and all of you get a hold of me at the dudawake42 at Gmail. Okay, gang, remember, this was just a show for funs and giggles, just a little entertainment, just like I Love Lucy. Ba, 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 boo, 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 boo. See how, it was 49 minutes ago, about an hour ago. Now it's 53 minutes and 24 seconds. Yeah, Twitch, give me a buzz. Yep. Oh, you know what? I'm in the library. You can try and give me a buzz. You can go on Gmail. Yeah, I got 1/10 of a bar. Miraculously, you might get through. This library must have a Faraday cage around it, because out in my car I get half. I get 4 bars. Here I get 1/10 of a bar. So anyway, I'm going to say good night, or good afternoon, or good morning, or wherever you are. Have a good one, and I will speak to you soon, and I'll see you, in an hour or two, right? Because it's getting towards 1ish, and I'll leave in a little bit and go up to the school. Okay, love you guys.